Thank you for tuning in. I'm Alaska Lasso, your gratitude coach. Welcome to Conversations from the Heart. I am excited to share with you today the most powerful thing that you can do to improve your life, and that is to learn to cultivate and harness the power of your thoughts and emotions. The impact of what we think has a tremendous power over our life and immune system. Interestingly, most people don't walk around being conscious of the power they carry between their eyes. You cannot change the things that you don't understand. So it is my hope that after watching this video, you will begin to understand how powerful your mind truly is. Are you ready? Let's do it. Every thought you have, every emotion that you feel emits a frequency, and that attracts whatever it resonates at that level. So for the most part, the things that you have experienced in your life, you've attracted through that frequency of your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. You are literally what you think about on a consistent basis, and your character is the complete sum of your thoughts. So whatever you're thinking right now and tomorrow and the next month, you will eventually become. The thought process and the language that you give to things can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Therefore, your thoughts carry power. Now, did you know that you think about 75,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those thoughts were the same thoughts you had the day before? Crazy, right? Well, it gets even crazier because 95% of those thoughts are happening without your awareness. Now, why should you care? Over time, the quality of your thoughts create the emotions you feel, which in turn creates the experiences you have, which ultimately dictates the outcome of your life. And as I mentioned before, that includes your health. The good news is that you can change your thoughts. And when you change your thoughts, you change the experiences with the world around you. Imagine that every thought you have, every emotion you feel, good or bad, is like a computer recording program. Each thought is like a computer code, and the more you play the record over and over, it creates an imprint that becomes a permanent program in your subconscious mind. That is, until you consciously and willfully decide to change it. When you hear a song, for example, and you hear that song often, what happens? You learn the song. You begin to recite the song automatically without thinking. Well, the same happens to your brain, right? It begins to believe the stories or the songs it tells us, right? We, you, me, everyone. Eventually, we become the product of the stories that our brain tells us about ourselves that we believe to be true. The brain has millions of neurons or brain cells that fire, wire, and activate each time we think or we learn something. And the more repetition you put on those thoughts, the stronger the connection between those neurons become. So notice what happens with your smartphone. If you type a word a lot, eventually the algorithm starts to make the word available on your text bar. So as you compose your messages, it becomes easier for you. So our brain does the exact same thing, right? The thoughts you think about repeatedly become the algorithm. And you begin to fire those neurons, and like a computer record, it creates a program, a permanent program into your brain. And now every time you have a negative thought, you produce a negative emotion, which in turn produces a negative experience. And this cycle goes on and on and on. And each time that you choose to think and relive that memory, you're now reinforcing those connections to hardwire in your brain. Why? Because unfortunately, the body cannot tell the difference between a real event or one that you're having by thought alone. To the body, it feels the same. And so it has the same chemical reaction as if you were living that experience. So now you're shaping your brain to activate the neurons that sustain the connection to that negative state. And unfortunately, when we feel negative and stressed, our stress response is turned on. And when you do this in a repetitious manner, your state of being signals the genes in your body to downregulate. And over time, it creates disease. So think about what I have said to you here for a second. A thought is so powerful that without you even knowing it, it sets into motion a cascade of reactions that impact your life, and you're not even aware that you're doing it. And this is why so many people buy books or take courses on self-development hoping to change and don't. You see, the 5% of you who is conscious and is listening to me right now, who wants to change, who wants a healthier life, who wants a happier life, is fighting against the 95% of your brain, okay? Against 95% of those programs that have you believe that you cannot change. You are fighting against all those programs that make you think that you cannot heal, or make you believe that you cannot expect a better life. So what can you do? Well, there are 4 things that you can do today to begin the process of changing how your mind thinks and operates. Become conscious of the unconscious. The only way to really succeed at reprogramming your mind is by becoming conscious of the unconscious. Become aware of the thoughts, the behaviors, and the beliefs, okay, that make it past your conscious awareness. Slow down the analytical mind. In order to change your thoughts, you have to slow down the analytical part of your brain that prevents you from making changes. So you see, the analytical mind likes the known, it likes the predictable, and loves the person that you are with all the limiting programs that you have allowed in your mind. So the minute it senses that you want to change, the minute it senses that you are making alterations, it will scare you into submission, and it will prompt you to turn back to your default programs. So the only way to beat it is by slowing it. And when you slow the analytical mind, it reduces your stress and quiets that constant chatter in your brain, allowing you to become aware of your thoughts so that you can then mindfully change those thoughts. And meditation is one of the greatest tools to do that. It is in a meditative state that you can go right into the program and make changes to your programming. Replace negative thoughts with an empowering one. Each time you become aware of a negative thought or behavior, interrupt yourself. Talk to yourself out loud if you must. And the more you train yourself to notice those thoughts, and each time you keep interrupting yourself, eventually you're gonna break them down and you're gonna have less of them. And now you're taking control, because you can only change something when you are aware of what it is that needs to change. Make the shift to gratitude. Each time you feel negative, depressed, or anxious, focus on gratitude. Shift your perspective and take note of what is actually working for your life. You see, the problem is that most people spend more time thinking about the things they don't want rather than thinking about the things they do want. And in thinking about what they don't want, vibrationally, they attract the very thing they don't want. So I always tell my students that take my FMTG, which is the online course I teach, that the quickest way to turn your thoughts and emotions around is by practicing gratitude. When you train yourself to think and feel positive about life in spite of the challenges, you fire and wire those neurons to think and feel and experience gratitude in your life. And in turn, this strengthens that software program, and your brain signals your body to release chemicals to match the very emotions you're feeling. And now you just gave your body the blueprint for a happier and healthier life. Why? Because positive thoughts lead to feeling better emotions, which lead to nicer experiences, which leads us into creating better choices. And this is how we begin to create and attract the life that we want. So remember, all that you achieve and all that you fail to achieve, it comes down to your thoughts. When you change your energy, you change your life. But remember that at the seed of that energy are your thoughts. So your mission is to go into that program recording machine that you've created and produce a new program, a new record with new thoughts and emotions and new experiences. How? By not firing and wiring the same old programs and habits. If you let your mind focus on self-criticism, on pain or fear, anger, worry, those feelings and those thoughts will impact what you experience in life. You will become a slave to depression, to anxiety, and to worry. On the other hand, when you focus on positive feelings and you frame situations with a tilt towards appreciation and gratitude for the things that you have in your life, you will begin to experience elevated states of joy and peace. And the more you practice becoming aware of those thoughts and making the shift for positive ones, eventually your state of being will be one of resilience, optimism, and gratitude. Now, it takes time and practice to prune the old habits and beliefs, but the more you practice, you will start to notice the good in everything. And if you cannot see the good, I train my students to look for the lesson. And this is how you begin to train your mind to create the life and the future that you actually want. Why? Because now you have trained the mind to override the body, right? And your will is stronger than the programs in your subconscious mind. You are not longer running on autopilot, and the more you practice doing this day in, day out, all those limiting programs, all those negative things in your life will surrender, and you become the master of your own life. And I want to leave you with the words of James Allen. Man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself, or fashions the tools by which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy, strength, and peace. With gratitude, Waleska, and I will see you on the next episode.